Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Hopefully you all enjoyed your finale pie. These are going to be my Season 7 predictions. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the season yet. I'll also address what's going on this summer too. There is new stuff happening this summer. They did a couple clear things to foreshadow big events, like a big war between Daenerys and Cersei, but I just tried to look at it from different regions, like, stuff that's going on up in the north, stuff that's going on in the Crown Lands, and stuff that's going on in the south. So that's kind of how I divided these up. So starting up in the north, of course I'm expecting more Little Bear just being amazing. The actress herself is actually probably going to be a little bit older, but if you remember how much Bran changed physically just because of how much older the actor got year to year, I think if they can make you forget how much older Bran looks this season than he has in previous seasons, then they can do the same thing for the Little Bear. So expecting more really awesome moments like call to action like this. She's just a really strong leader, and it's also really funny because she's this little 10-year-old girl with a bunch of old men. So mass respect for the Little Bear. On the flip side of that, the people who aren't such big supporters of Jon Snow, Littlefinger probably going to continue to scheme and plot behind his back, try to rope Sansa in, even though it doesn't seem like it's Sansa's intention to go against her brother. He's probably going to try and twist her against him, or at least involve her in some of his schemes. Remember how committed he is to his idea of sitting on the Iron Throne with Sansa beside him. He's not just going to give that up just because Jon Snow was named king in the north. So what about Bran? We left him at that weirwood. The weirwood that he was touching is actually the one where Jon Snow and all the other Night's Watch take their oaths. There are still a lot of moments that he has not flashed back to yet. We haven't got a Rhaegar-specific flashback yet. It would be amazing if we got to see the Battle of the Trident in the moment of his death as he whispers Lyanna's name, rubies flying from his chest. It's this really iconic moment from the books, and we haven't seen Rhaegar yet. It just said that on his death, like as Robert had smashed him with his warhammer and was killing him, he whispered a woman's name, but we never learned that name. Now we know he was probably whispering Lyanna's name. And if you're wondering what Lyanna was whispering to Ned, she was just whispering Jon's name. The reason they did that, the reason they made it hard to hear, is because they wanted to tell you that visually with the transition. Like you could kind of make out, protect him, Ned, Robert will kill him. So she's talking about the, protect the baby. So there were a lot of people that were confused that like, hey, maybe Jon Snow has a different name. Maybe it's like Aegon, or maybe he has a Targaryen name. No, I think that the name that Lyanna initially gave him was Jon, and so that's what Ned called him. I don't think that Ned gave him a different name other than Snow. Like Ned named him Snow as his bastard, and that was the lie. But I don't think that they were lying about his name being Jon. There were a lot of people that were wondering that as part of tradition, maybe they would have given him a name from the Targaryen family tree or something from the Stark family tree. Like Brandon is a common name in the Stark family. There were many different Brandons, like Brandon the Builder. So just a lot of people were wondering if maybe Lyanna had done the same thing and given him a family name from the Starks, or maybe he had a Targaryen name. But at the end of the day, I still think that his true name is Jon. It's just that the last name is the big reveal, the big surprise. Like, oh, he's the son of a Stark and a Targaryen. So technically you would call him Jon Targaryen, but he identifies as Stark. Remember, he doesn't know who his mother is, so he still thinks that he's Ned's son, so he feels like he's a Stark. That's been his family his whole life. So even if everyone were to find out that he's a Targaryen, maybe he has a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne, he would still tell you that he's a Stark of Winterfell. He doesn't know anything about Targaryens. Even if he met Daenerys, they probably wouldn't feel like family. He's like, I've never met you before. I've never met any Targaryens. I've only known Starks, so that's my family. So if he had the power to give himself his own name, he would probably take the Stark name. But that's another thing too. I don't think that Jon Snow is going to learn his heritage until he meets with Bran, which will not be right away. First, Bran is going to learn more about what's going on with the Night's King, the magic of the wall. Benjen kind of explained the magic, like the dead cannot pass here, so I cannot pass. So Bran will explore his powers more, probably flash back, hopefully to a Rhaegar scene, and then he'll find a way to communicate with the Night's Watch, and then Jon Snow. Largely, the priority in the north is rallying to prepare for the Night King. Jon probably isn't going to be too worried about what's going on in the south because physically the north is so far away from what's going on. Like they just made it through the Battle of the Bastards. Everyone swore fealty to the king in the north. So Jon Snow is now like, okay, great, you're listening to me. We have this big problem north of the wall. Let's get ready for this. So yes, what's going on in the south between Cersei and what's going to happen with Daenerys is going to be too big to ignore. So they'll probably find out about it, but Jon Snow probably won't send troops south. I'm expecting that he'll largely just be paying attention to what's going on north of the wall. There was this kind of funny, offhanded comment that Daenerys made when she was breaking up with Daario, where he's like, you're going to have to get married. Who are you going to get married to? And she's like, I don't know. I'm going to have to make an alliance. I'll probably have to get married as part of that. Think about this. There are no eligible Martell bachelors. There are no eligible Tyrell bachelors either. So you look at King's Landing, Jaime is unattached, but the problem is that Cersei is not going to give up the crown, so she's probably not going to okay a marriage between Jaime and Daenerys, meaning that Jon Snow, King of the North, King Crow, is the most eligible bachelor in the Seven Kingdoms. So I'm not really expecting anybody to get married anytime soon. Like Jon Snow, if you asked him about marriage, he'd be like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what's going on. Daenerys isn't in a rush to get married either. Cersei is definitely never getting married again. If there's any alliances that are forged with marriages, I'm not expecting that to happen till season 8. So those are the only circumstances where I see Jon Snow ending up with Daenerys. Form an alliance in season 8, but this is mostly a season 7 video. So the takeaway for season 7 is that no one is probably going to get married. What about the Crown Lands? What's going on with Cersei? So she's pretty much solidified her power. She'll probably squash anybody that rises up, but there are no Sons of the Harpy in King's Landing anymore. That was what the Faith Militant was. They've largely been killed off, and the Queen of Thorns made this really interesting threat when the Faith threw Marjorie and Loras into prison. She said, we control the grain, we will cut it off. We will starve King's Landing out if you don't release them. And the High Sparrow's answer to that was, we are the poor, we are the many, you are the few, we will rise up and tear you down. Now that they're dead, the Queen of Thorns is free to make good on that threat. And if she's trying to kill Cersei, if she's trying to destroy the crown, then the easiest way to do that would be to starve them out. Then when they're on the edge of death, march Daenerys' army in. So I'm expecting multi-pronged attack from the new alliance in the south, from the Dornish, Tyrell, Daenerys alliance, where the Queen of Thorns starves King's Landing out over the course of a couple episodes, weakens them, then Daenerys' army can march in, and it'll be much easier for them to take the city. So what about Jaime Queenslayer? I'm not expecting any kind of Queenslayer moment till at least season 8 because all the actors just renegotiated their contracts. They're getting $500,000 per episode, at least the 5 main actors, and that includes all 3 Lannister children. So Cersei, Jaime, and Tyrion all getting $500,000 per episode through season 8, meaning that we'll probably see Cersei make it to season 8. So if there's a Queenslayer moment, it probably won't come for a long time. And I kind of said this during my episode 10 video last night, but I think they might give that kill to Arya because while all this is going on, these 3 sections of the kingdom, you have Daenerys Alliance in the south, Cersei in the middle in the Crown Lands, and Jon up in the north. I think Arya is going to be skipping around, crossing names off her list. But in order to do that, she'd have to head south. And when she said she was going back to Westeros, she said she was going home. So it's possible she could go to Winterfell, but it feels like she would run into the Hound maybe and then get pulled away in another direction. It just feels too easy to have a Stark reunion right away when season 7 picks up. So yes, I do think that Arya will see Sansa and Jon again, but maybe not right away. It feels like it'd be too easy to do that right away. I'd rather see Sansa get letters, get word of what Arya's doing, and just kind of chuckle to herself. Because she's kind of dark, she could just laugh the way she laughed when Brienne told her about Arya. Oh, I saw your sister, Lady Sansa. She didn't look like a lady at all. She was covered in mud, she had a sword with her, and Sansa was like, yeah, that sounds like Arya. So I'm expecting more moments like that. Walder Frey was assassinated after eating a pie that his relatives had been baked into. Oh, that sounds like Arya, baking Frey pies. So the other big thing, critical pieces of information that they need to learn how to make more dragonglass, they need to learn how to make more wildfire. Just everyone in general, anyone that's going to survive to fight the War for the Dawn. That is where Samwell in the Citadel comes in. Dragonglass would be the first go-to, and then he'll probably be the reason that Jon Snow starts thinking about Daenerys more seriously. Like, oh, we need dragonfire. Daenerys has dragons. Okay, Jon, you're going to have to find a way to form an alliance with this Daenerys person. And so then they'll have to figure that out. But that seems more like a season 8 thing. So I'm not expecting a ton of Samwell in season 7, just a couple moments, just seeing him studying in the library, learning things that are important for fighting the Night King. And finally, what about the episode count? So I feel like everybody has heard that they're going to do a shortened run, but the actual episode count hasn't been confirmed yet. What it sounds like is going to happen is there'll be 7 episodes in season 7. They'll be a little bit longer than normal episodes, so the actual runtime of the season will be a little bit less, but you won't be missing out on as much content as you think. Like each episode itself will be much longer. and then the final season might only end up being 6 episodes, but again, they'd be much longer episodes, so they'd be spending as much money as they do on each season. It's just that they'll be cramming all that into a fewer number of episodes. So nothing is confirmed yet. Like, their big priority right now is getting the actors to sign all their contracts. Once they do that, they'll figure the season out, figure the budget out, all that stuff, and then I'll do a video explaining what's going to happen. HBO is usually really good about announcing details like that. Like, there'll be X number of episodes, we're going to premiere around this time of the year. The premiere date can fluctuate depending on stuff that happens throughout the year, so hopefully they'll do that when they come to Comic-Con. They haven't announced the Comic-Con panel officially yet, but I think they'll come back. Hopefully they will bring the little bear. It would be amazing to see her march out on stage and do like a Loki-style call to action where she just does like this King in the North speech and then introduces Jon Snow. Then all the other actors come out. Think about how much easier it is for HBO to do that panel this year now that we don't have a big Jon Snow type cliffhanger. But if you didn't know, Comic-Con is going to be like the third, I think it's the third of the last weekend in July, so it's not for at least another month. But of course, I'll be doing videos for Game of Thrones all summer during the off season. We don't have an official drop date for Winds of Winter, the book, but whenever that drops, I'll do book videos too, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. I will continue to do giveaways each week, and most of my Game of Thrones bonus videos will post on Sundays, but if there's like a big thing that happens during the middle of the week, I'll post it during the middle of the week. You guys understand. So what's going to happen next is I'll post my Q&A video, so leave all your questions, and I'll actually, just because so much stuff is happening and I'm so happy about the way the season went down, I'm going to speed the giveaway up. So congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Jerry Garza. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. That's just on the About page, and I'll start a new round of the giveaway now and announce that winner when I post the Q&A video. So it's like a double giveaway this week. So all you have to do to enter that is just be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. You guys know the drill. So Q&A coming later this week, and let me know what kind of bonus videos you guys want in the off season. So get hyped. It's going to be a really good summer. So while you guys enjoy your pie this summer, you can click here for my finale video from last night, and you can click here to learn a little bit more about why it was such a big deal that Jon Snow's parentage be secret. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.